Who run this mother?
I run the world. I'm a girl. It's
That's
me.
right.
We're talking about Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, in all caps.
We dress a certain way, we walk a certain way, we talk a certain way, we paint a certain way, we make love a certain way.
All 3 hours of this film, Alonso, you and I both went and got tickets and went and saw matinee showings. And I think that we had extremely different experiences as far as what was happening in our theaters, which I look forward to talking about. But if you've not subscribed yet, we'd love to have you do that because, yes, it's award season. All the big stuff's coming. Wonka's coming, guys. You don't want to miss Wonka. That's also a spectacle to behold. But we'll always take time to do something like the Taylor Swift movie, the Beyonce movie. So here we are. Yes, Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, is a documentary of her Renaissance World Tour, which just ended. And it's not really, it's kind of like Taylor Swift's Eras Tour movie, but also not really, in that it's a documentary with behind the scenes stuff. Like Taylor's film was just a concert film. This is like a lot of the stuff from various performances at cities all over the world, Los Angeles, Houston. But it's also behind the scenes stuff with Jay-Z and their kids. And one thing I was fascinated by, and I'm guessing this probably resonated for you as well, is that it's a movie about process. Beyonce wrote and directed and produced this, but in the narration, she does something unusual, which is that she wants to call attention to what a massive working machine this tour is, and shouts out everyone from like the people who built the scaffolding. Like that's the most expensive part of this whole thing is the scaffolding and the video screens and the drivers and the trainers and the chefs and the choreographers and the people who braid the dancers' hair backstage. And there seems to me to be a genuine generosity in the way that she wants to call all these folks out for their hard work. There are more women working on her backstage crew, she says, than she's ever had on any tour, and that's exciting. Yes, it's about the music, and yes, it's about just the massive extravaganza spectacle that she can command, and the way she morphs, you know, from the beginning of the film to the end, from like benevolent, radiant goddess to Afrofuturist cyborg to grinding and growling as this ferocious vixen, like, is always dazzling to behold. She, you know, is commanding in every persona. Of course, after all the time, she's an incredible performer and incredible talent. One thing I enjoyed with this was being able to see the costume design, like blown up big like that, like from all the cat suits, like the sparkly cat suits from Poochie and who else? Like there's stuff from Agent Provocateur where it's just like a few crystals covering up parts of her body, and then like Ralph Lauren gowns. Like so that part is, you know, very impressive. It's very long, you guys. It is nearly all of 3 hours, and by the end, for me, I found it kind of exhausting. Like I always appreciated the work ethic on display, but after a while, I'm like, okay, I appreciate this. I'm ready to go home now. And I think if you're a super fan, you probably can't get enough, right?
Exactly.
I think it does what it means to do for the people it means to do it for, but I'm not sure that you and I are those people.
Yes, exactly. Like I said with the Taylor Swift review that we did, like I don't listen to a lot of music from this century. So I'm not the target audience here. The people in my theater were totally the target audience. I saw it at the Grove. So like all the gays were there with the fans and they were clacking in the aisle and it was a whole thing. And they were eating it all up with a spoon and loving it. And as a sort of impartial outside observer, I'm impressed with the magnitude of this thing. Like she talks about that there's like 3 stages basically, so that when they're performing in one city, it's already being built in the next city because they can't just take it out and build it up. Like it's that elaborate of a thing. And it's funny, I was reminded of, you know, the Barbra Streisand memoir just came out. And I think that she and Beyonce kind of have similar paths in terms of like, they started out as these young singers and then very immediately were like, I am running this show. Like, I know what works. I know what I want to do. You're not going to like mold me into something. And so like, and they both become filmmakers. And with Streisand, it's more about these, you know, narrative works that she does. And this is now Beyonce's like 4th kind of music-based films. She did, Lemonade and Black is King, which were more conceptual, and then Homecoming and this, which are more, like performance documentaries. And I think that there are moments where, as interesting as a lot of that backstage stuff is, I loved like the vignettes with the dancers, and like there's a Destiny's Child reunion with like all the Destiny's, or at least more than you'd imagine of the Destiny, like, all the versions of Destiny's Child. Somebody's in there, they kind of undercut the performance element. So like a song will end and it's like this big sort of euphoria moment, and then boom, we're back to like another thing, and it's sort of like okay. And then also the way that it's edited together, like you'll hear one song being performed, and I imagine it's one sort of audio track of the same performance over the whole thing, but they will cut so many different versions of that number, because I guess in every city it's different outfits. So like, she's wearing Mylar, she's wearing red. It's blue. No, it's psychedelic. And back and forth. And it's cool the costumes themselves are amazing and you want to see them. But when you cut back and forth like that within a number, you lose that sense of like a performance, a fluid kind of performance that's happening. So like some of the best parts for me are the moments where like a guest pops up, like Megan Thee Stallion or Kendrick Lamar or Diana Ross, and it's like, oh, we have to show you this segment start to finish. We can't cut away because they weren't in the other cities, and those moments kind of made me realize what was maybe missing from some of the other performance stuff, because of the way that it's sort of these interconnected various performances rather than sort of, here's a song from Houston and here's a song from, Gstaad, wherever they were on this tour, But all that said, it's still really impressive. And if, I missed Single Ladies, I would have liked to have heard that. But, if you are down for Beyonce and you love her stuff and you saw the show live and you want to maybe get some idea of what you didn't see backstage, like it's all in there. This movie is giving you all this stuff. There were just times where I kind of felt like I almost wish this were two movies, like one that was just a concert film and then one that was all of the other stuff. Because I think those are both interesting in their own way, but they don't always intersect as fluidly as they might have.
I love the way it was edited. I thought that was so cool. And I was dazzled, like, that's a cool outfit. That's a cool outfit. And it was like right on the beat a lot of the time.
Oh, for sure.
That was to me just breathtaking, and it gave it this incredible energy, and I thought that was just breathtaking. So I thought that was really fun, actually.
In the rare moments, in the rare moments where they're standing still, like the costumes actually sort of just change on them, which is really cool too.
Yeah, I figured that because she's such a queer icon, Alonso, that this would resonate for you differently than it did for me, because so much of this movie is about incorporating the ballroom culture and her uncle Johnny, who was actually her mom's nephew, and what a hugely influential force he was on her in her childhood, as far as fashion, as far as music. And
those are some of my favorite parts, for sure.
Yeah, this shows a lot of the people in the audience and how she talks about creating a safe space, and you feel that love coming back from so many of her gay fans with the fans with fans, and all dressed in silver. And there's such a celebration. And it sounds corny, but that whole beehive thing truly feels like a sense of community. Again, we're not the target audience for that, but I thought that maybe perhaps that element of this film might have worked for you.
Definitely. I mean, like when they talk to the dancers and you sort of see where they came from, and they bring up like, Big Frida and different performers from the ballroom world, T.S. Madison. That's really cool. And I did enjoy that. But again, I just kind of felt like there's such a high to the performance where it is so thrilling, and it's so expertly cut together. Even if it's jumping from performance to performance, you're right, you do at least get it flows and it's not jarring in any way. But then like a song will end and you have that moment of euphoria, and then it's like, oh wait, meanwhile let's go back to the dressing rooms and see what and I'm sort of like so I don't know. I like all the components here. I just don't know that they all necessarily, as assembled, are as effective as they might have been in different ways. But again, I'm not the target audience. If you are a fan, you are going to, I imagine, just based on my observation of my audience, you will eat this up with this film.
So much of this is this like Afrofuturism and like the idea of the mechanics of her.
Disco
and there's like
robot.
a really cool kind Yeah, there's like a cool, like gleaming space age quality to it.
Yeah.
And you know what would fit in perfectly with that are lightsabers from End Sabers, our company that we are partnering with these days. They make a whole variety of lightsabers from sort of simpler models just for beginners to enjoy, for little kids to enjoy, to very elaborate ones for more serious cosplayers and everyone in between. We have a deal with them. We have a discount with them. The link is down below in the description. Our code is breakfast all day in all caps. Nick has one and has been enjoying it so much. It lights up with different colors. It would fit in really well at a Beyonce concert, actually. One of the things it lights up as is like rainbow colored. It's
There
like
you go.
Pride saber. But they're really, really well made, really sturdy NeoPixel lightsabers. So go check them out. Some of the things that worked for me here while I was dazzled by all the performances did not have anything to do with her as an artist. It had to do with her as a woman entering her 40s and realizing that she doesn't care what anyone thinks anymore and how liberating that is for her. You see her turn 42 and like Diana Ross serenades her, but like, but she's a regular middle-aged lady like me. And then there's a whole thing where she's such a perfectionist about like lighting cues and camera lenses. And we saw the attention to detail and some of the behind the scenes stuff in Homecoming,
Right.
which we also reviewed, which is thrilling. But she's a serious filmmaker and she takes every little thing seriously. And she says at one point, like, eventually they're going to realize this bitch doesn't stop. And it's like, if you want and she's underestimated as a woman of color, despite being enormously powerful and successful and influential, she still has to fight through all those barriers. I related to that. And the Virgo in me appreciated her perfectionism. Also, there's a whole thing with Blue Ivy. Right. Her daughter, who is 11 years old, who wants to be on stage, who wants to dance and follow in her mom's footsteps. And Beyonce, having performed, you know, from a very young age, knows what that's about and knows how perilous that can be. And it's even harder now because there's social media. And so there's a whole sort of subplot where Blue Ivy has to earn her spot on stage, where she tries it and it doesn't quite work out for her, and then she trains harder with the choreographers. And I found that surprisingly moving. There's a shot where you see Blue Ivy, like it's like underneath the stage where she's on the lift and about to go up on the stage, and you can see Beyonce just beyond her, and like I got kind of choked up, like, like she's beaming with pride. Like, there's your little girl. I realized like this person's parents are Beyonce and Jay-Z. So there's like a slight advantage there. But like that motherly feeling of pride when your children work hard and thrive, I found relatable. So
one of my favorite things was the trumpeter in Beyonce's band, a woman named Crystal Torres, is like in her third trimester of pregnancy, wearing this like spangly outfit, belly completely exposed and just like rocking it. And that to me says so much about everything. So many of the interviews of what Beyonce is talking about with women's empowerment and that kind of thing. It's like, just show me that trumpeter. Like that is telling me there's a whole saga right there about female power and inclusivity and you know, like representation and all that stuff that's going on just by having her on stage busting out, you know, the horn stuff. So yeah, I think there are times where I wish that as a filmmaker she would trust the result of her craft and not have to talk about her craft as much, because I think we all know that it's her. Like anybody at this point in pop culture, you know, if you've seen Homecoming, if you've seen Lemonade, you know that she is steering this ship. And I think the movie maybe feels the need to tell us that she's steering the ship a couple times when it's always apparent in everything we're watching.
Yeah. Oh, it's pure propaganda, but it's like artful propaganda. It's incredibly well made and entertaining. So what's your number then?
I'll say a 7.9. I think it's very solid. And again, not made for me, but if it's made for you, have fun. You're going to have a great time.
One of our commenters on my out of the theater reaction said that he went and saw it in IMAX back to back. So people are going to do that. Like if you didn't see her in concert, if you did see her in concert, I think it'll be a transporting experience for a lot of folks. Yeah. I'll say like an 8.6.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really, really good. It's just very, very long. Anyway, Beyonce's Renaissance is in theaters now. Will you see it? Let us know.